Did you know that there are compounds found in food, specifically highly processed food, called obesogens that can directly lead to weight gain? What are they? How do they work? Where can you find them? And what can you do to limit your intake? Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to our channel, Inc. Nutrition. My name's Jack. I'm a registered dietitian, and my goal here on this channel is to really help translate the science of nutrition so that you can understand it and live a happier and healthier life. Please like, comment, and subscribe for videos every week. Thanks. So I'm not gonna take a deep dive into obesity. We know that the rates are rising. We know some of the health issues associated with obesity. We also know that just because you are overweight or obese does not mean that you cannot live a very long, healthy life. So the weight shaming, the weight stigma, the bias in this country, it needs to stop. Having said all of that, there are correlations with obesity and health problems, and it's probably a good idea for us to continue to research it. What I will also say is that obesity is complex, and anyone who tries to tell me otherwise, I think you're wrong. We simply do not fully understand the pathogenesis of obesity, and the scientific community cannot really agree on the direct cause. But we do know a lot of factors. The big ones being food intake, of course, or energy balance, exercise, sleep, stress, gut health, genetics, ethnicity, medications, medical conditions, food quality, and the environment. And today we're just going to be focusing on those last two, food quality and the environment. More specifically, obesogens. So, number one, what are obesogens? They are compounds found in the environment that can alter our energy metabolism and thus our body weight. Now, they can be found all over the place in plastics, household chemicals, cosmetics, and highly processed foods. Here are some specific obesogens that we have identified in the research. So we have bisphenols, phthalates, perfluorinated substances or PFAs, PCBs, organotins, dioxins, PBDEs or flame retardants, and parabens. So how do they actually lead to weight gain? Well, when we're talking about the mechanisms of obesogens, these compounds, when they're in the body, they can disrupt certain signaling pathways that can mess with our hormone function, aka endocrine disruptors, inflammation, insulin resistance, energy metabolism as well, so how food is actually used and stored. And for those of you who are interested in the research, here's a list of some good reviews and meta-analysis that look at the correlations between specific obesogens and weight gain. All right, so what can you do? What can we all do to limit our intake of these obesogens? I hope I haven't scared you. That's not the intention here. It may seem like obesogens are everywhere, but it's important to really zoom out and just look at the biggest areas where you think you can improve, which I think for many of us is to limit our intake of highly processed foods. One recent comprehensive review looking at over 350,000 subjects from different countries confirmed this association between the consumption of highly processed or ultra-processed foods and being overweight and being obese. And there's no doubt that all these compounds, these obesogens, are playing a really big role here. So what even is an ultra-processed food? Most of the food that you're gonna see and grab at the grocery store is processed, but it's on a spectrum, really. And we can use the NOVA classification to determine how processed a food is. So I'll put this list up here, and this is group 1 to group 4. Group 1 being the most minimally processed or unprocessed food, all the way to group 4, which is considered ultra processed. And I think a good way to kind of help you understand this is to go through a few examples. So let's talk about apples. All right, a group 1 product would be just the apple itself, a fresh apple, maybe one that you picked off a tree, okay? Group 2 would be pre-cut sliced apples, maybe even de-skinned apples. Group 3 would be applesauce, maybe it has a little bit of added sugar or cinnamon, okay? And then a group 4 would be an apple pie that you get at McDonald's, where you get a lot of additives and preservatives in it. Let's look at another example, grains. A group 1 grain would be the whole intact grain itself, like farro or quinoa, super healthy foods. Group 2 could be oatmeal or a flaked grain that has been rolled. Also a great option. Very healthy, I would say. And then a group 3 could be pasta or some fresh bread. All right, we've milled that grain into a flour, and then we've turned it into a dough, and we've made a bread product. Group 4 would be cereal, maybe, or like white bread or bagels that are wrapped in plastic at the store. And you can do this. You can play this game with just about any food, any ingredient, fruits, vegetables, beans. Now, of course, the goal is to have less group 4, more groups 1 and 2. And Nova, that classification system, does make a pretty good app. It's called Open Food Facts that you can download, and you can actually scan foods and determine where it is on that scale from 1 to 4. So that could be a helpful resource for some of you. Okay, in conclusion, we are learning more and more every single day about the impact of obesogens and highly processed foods on our hormone function, inflammation, our gut microbiome, and definitely our weight. So do you need to go on a raw foods diet? No, you don't. I personally will never do that, and I don't recommend it. I don't think it's very realistic. But I do think you should choose more fresh food. Food that is not coming in boxes and packages and cans and plastic bags and all that, okay? If you can choose more food that doesn't even have a nutrient label, right? That is just fresh, like produce, you're gonna be much better off in reducing your intake of obesogens. I think a good place to start could be shopping the perimeter of a grocery store. You're typically gonna get your most minimally processed foods there. All right, so that goes through the produce, goes through meat, fish, dairy, it goes through some, high quality, maybe baked products, or the bulk section where you can get those whole intact grains and beans and dried fruit, etc., before going into the middle of the grocery store where you are gonna get the highly processed foods. And that is what I have for you today. Hope you learned something. Really appreciate all of you watching. If you have any questions or suggestions, drop it in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And that is what the dietitian ordered. Have a delicious day. Be focusing on those last two. Endocrine disruption, and they can. I do love a good apple pie, though. Rolled grain. Yeah, rolled oats.